Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sabine and today's topic is how to always be chosen by your SP or a specific person. But before we get into it, please subscribe and press the bell icon to be notified of any new video I am releasing every 2 days. Disclaimer here, because this video is mainly geared towards women, because our self-concept as a woman is usually a bit different than for men. So for us, what is it? So it all has to do with our self-concept. So where do you think that you fit in the relationship? Where do you assess your match with your SP? Well, for us, for instance, for women, oftentimes it has to do with looks, how pretty we believe that we are, and if we think that we are prettier than someone or less pretty than someone. The thing is, some women don't find themselves attractive, and therefore they have a hard time believing that men, and especially their crush or SP or then specific person, would choose them over someone else. And then they get worried, insecurities surface, we become over-analytical, over-critical of the little scar of the finger that we had 10 years ago. And, oh God forbid, if we find a wrinkle, then it becomes a nightmare. But what if I was telling you as well that I used to avoid looking in the mirror because I disliked myself so much that it was hurting to see my reflection in the mirror? Funny enough, if you ask a man, depending if he wants to be in a relationship or just have fun, his answers will be less superficial than what we think of ourselves. So for instance, he won't be thinking every 5 minutes, oh, she needs to have a perfect body and have the perfect face and a great smile and this and that. When a man wants to settle down or be in a committed relationship, he wants to see if he can make his wife or his woman happy. There is nothing worse for a man to have a nagging woman in his life. A man takes pride in his wife's happiness or woman's happiness. And I have asked a lot of men. Of course, it helps if you have lovely eyes or a nice laugh, but he will get over it if he's a superhero who can put a smile on your face. Because that smile on your face will make him feel very special. That's why some men believe that they need to pay for lots of gifts to make their woman smile and happy, whereas we women would be happy with a romantic dinner and good conversation. But maybe that's only me anyway. There is no exception to one of the universal laws that Neville Goddard refers to as everybody is you pushed out. If you truly believe for now that you do not have the looks to attract the man you have your eyes on, think again. But even before thinking, look around you. Everybody is unique and every man has different preferences. I remember a man who could be sitting next to the most gorgeous woman, but wouldn't give her a second look and a second thought, because if she wasn't from a certain continent, he wasn't interested. Final. So you will not attract a man for long if you think poorly of yourself. You may be as gorgeous as model, but if you feel unattractive inside, guess what? Now, I have my tricks, obviously, so because where would be the fun in the video otherwise? My trick is around 3 lists, and I'll explain to you why they are important. So tip number 1, I listed all my passions and interests. Tip number 2, I listed all the countries I had visited. Number 3, I listed all my strengths. I chose those lists because the more I was writing and listing, the more I realized that I was special and that not too many would be exactly like me. Now, if you think that my lists wouldn't correspond exactly to your lifestyle, I would like for you to think a bit further, because if you think that you don't have a lot of passions or interests, or strengths, to me it is a good indication that you don't think much of yourself. And if you don't think much of yourself, there is a risk that you would place a lot of hope and expectation as well as intense admiration for your SP, especially if you feel that they are great in comparison to old boring you. You know, the first time I did my first list, I found 2 things I liked, and it was so boring that I thought to myself, okay, honestly, who would want to spend time with me? But then I went food shopping, and I first stopped at the entrance of the supermarket where I could find all my favorite magazines. And as I was looking for new titles, I realized that I could speak for hours on various topics. For the second list around the countries I had visited, I believe it was a way for me to acknowledge that I had done a lot of things in my life. And as I love traveling, I started to see that my life was not as predictable as I thought it was. So, for instance, if you haven't been traveling much, you could list all the sports you enjoy doing, or this kind of things. It doesn't have to be related to travel. Now, the third list is important as well. So the first and third list, I would like you to pay particular attention, please. For the third list, I remember it was very difficult for me because the only strengths I could think of were those that were mentioned during my one-to-ones at work. So picture that. So I had to even ask my friend around my own strengths. With those 3 lists, I decided that I was special enough to make an impact on the man of my choosing. So you can comment down below, I am so special that my SP can only choose me. I am so special that my SP can only choose me. This is a sure way to bypass any physical characteristics you may feel annoyed with. I know that it is better to accept yourself and make the best with what you have, or even manifest a change in appearance, but this was my shortcut. Not everybody who is watching my video will have the same issue, but I know that for talking to a lot of people on a weekly basis, that one way or another they will have commented something like that to me. They didn't feel as smart or as good looking or as interesting or as special as someone from their SP's exes or someone else who was also interested in their SP. So this was my shortcut, and I have to say that this shortcut has allowed me to accept myself much quicker and to expand my horizon in thinking that the man of my choosing, of my preference, would be always interested in me because I found myself interesting and special enough. Now, as you have realized, this is a kind of shortcut, but as always, this does not exclude the inner work you need to do for you to boost consistently your self-image with self-love, self-confidence, self-esteem. And this is the way that I have succeeded in manifesting. So I was a bit discouraged to try a few things out and to wait and having no results. So by selecting a shortcut while working on my inner self and stabilizing my emotions, I started to see progress. This was encouraging me enough to continue on my journey. So that's why that for me it was the path of least resistance, which was find a shortcut that would work for me and in parallel do the inner work that would guarantee that over time I would manifest on purpose but easily and effortlessly. So I repeat, if you want to have a shortcut, that's great, but you need to do the inner work in parallel. And this was a trick for today, but as always, when there is a trick or a shortcut, remember that you need to do the inner work so that it will stabilize your energy and your manifesting powers. If you would like to speed up your manifestation process, please remember that I have designed an online course for you and I have written an ebook on manifesting. But if you prefer to keep watching videos, please feel free to do so. You need to do whatever feels comfortable to you. And this was the video for today. Until next time, happy manifesting!